Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast. Here we are, Survivor 42, episode 2.
What's up, guys? Yeah, so this episode kind of had it all. It had love, or it was on par, if not like a more exploded version of Billy's confession of
Hard to say
love.
that.
Except Marianne was able to stay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it
but
was the reverse almost. It was like if Candace was really into Billy, but Billy left.
or like if Candace got voted off, and
Yeah.
then like Billy was like, "Oh man, I was saying how much I loved her
Love
and
her.
everything." Right.
Yeah. Survivors ruined love.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. What was interesting about this episode, at least in my opinion, was we actually got to see almost everyone on episode 2, which is
Yeah.
something that we don't usually see. Actually, usually in episode 2 or 3, they find specific people you kind of want to follow their story on in this early stages, and I felt like they really tried to make sure a lot. I think the only people who didn't get confessionals were Roxroy and Lydia had a big part of the challenge, so you actually don't really like say, oh, she didn't have a confessional this episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, and one thing I did notice about this episode too, there was when there's no like reward challenge, like especially with 3 tribes and you have to bounce from bop 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 bop,
Yeah.
You definitely like have to like establish more of like who these people are, stuff like that. And one thing I kind of like realized, I don't know why. I may have stumbled upon it sooner, but I didn't put too much emphasis on it. But one of the benefits of having like smaller tribes in the beginning, like the 666, sorry to our viewers that are not a big fan of that number, not intentional.
Survivor does not do that intentionally.
No, but what it does, it really does make it a more intimate tribe, because if there's like, let's say there's a group of 10 or 9 people, like you can like sanction off into like different thing and have your cliques and stuff. When it's 6 people, there's like, that's like a group, that's like a solid like group where it's hard to like where you stand, because that's pretty much like all there is to talk to, basically out there.
In the tribes of 10, usually you see 6 to 7 people are kind of like you just try to get in with those people, and then you can kind of just, you don't have to do much after that. It's like as long as you're in that group, you're probably good, as long as you don't do anything really stupid. But in the 6 tribe dynamic, every vote can change the dynamics, because someone is going home that will make someone else's target. Now it's like, okay, now I want this person out instead. So it's not as like just down the line.
And we kind of saw that a little bit with Ika, the aftermath of everything, which everyone did feel sad, which was one thing I was like, wow, it was kind of like they didn't really want to. And then you kind of saw that like even Swati, and it wasn't just like Tori was like, Drea, she's really playing the game, we're privileged. So one of the things about it just makes, with the fast pace, with smaller tribes, it does give more aggressive gameplay. And aggressive gameplay isn't just like, oh, I'm just moves after moves after moves. It's like aggressive is like, oh shit, who's speaking loudest, who's the big guy or gal, and go after them.
I don't know if you saw Zach's post-game interview with Rob Cesternino at all. But he basically said that the second that they went to back after losing the challenge, Tori grabbed Drea, went off, had their conversation like immediately, and then suddenly, like afterwards, he just noticed that everyone was now saying his name as well. So like it was very like Tori threw him under the bus super hard.
I mean, sometimes you just, I wouldn't say I don't want to say sometimes you got to do that, but I mean, hey, if it accomplishes the mission of not getting eliminated, if that's what you feel is necessary in that moment, it's what you do. I did speaking of Zach, I followed him on Instagram.
He's popping off on social media. I've been seeing a lot of his social media stuff. It's great.
Yeah. Someone and he shared this on his Instagram, had a picture of Boston Rob and Amber, like at the All Stars finale, and they pasted his face and Marianne's face. I love how he's, just like on board.
Yeah, he changed his last name on Twitter, I believe, to Zach Oketch.
Oh, that's cute. That's,
Yeah, he's been killing it. He's like, honestly, there's a good chance that he might come back for a second chance as one of the pre-merge boots, just because of if it happens like soonish, like I could see like his social media presence actually almost like giving him that rise to be on it again.
Yeah, there is that possibility. What sells, not sells tickets because it's, TV/streaming.
Yeah.
But, whatever brings in the viewers. And, people have talked about a pre-merge season or an early boot or first boot season. And I think, he was a good guy. Anywho, speaking of Marianne, like this episode, and I feel like a lot of people, because like some people were very mixed about, I got like mixed reactions on like the Facebook feed about Marianne as a person. And I can understand under a very stressful situation and someone's always like on at like a 10 or 11 energy wise. It's kind of like similar to waking up in the morning and then like you have the one friend, usually me, that's still awake and it's like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
You're like, bro.
Yeah.
There.
I don't think this tribe is going home, but I do think she would be the next one to go if they go again in pre-merge, because it does seem like Omer. Oh, so it is apparently Omer. That is, I've heard it. Yeah. I've heard it as Omer too. I've heard it as Omar as well. Like I think Jonathan actually in this episode had a confessional where he used both. So
yeah, I think it's also one of the things where Omar is such the like common way that Omer. It takes like a mental shift to like, he pronounces his name this way. Yeah. And speaking of which, like it was interesting how in a lot of seasons past, we saw a lot of people get together through the same religion, but it was nice this time around and kind of like an interesting thing. And how it was like, Omer is Muslim, and he was talking about his practices, stuff like that. And then, Jonathan was like, yeah, if you have any questions about Christianity. Yep. And then Lindsay was just like, yeah, I'm a very bad Jew.
Yeah, I don't know. That's great. We don't usually see the different religions almost kind of bonding over being different like that, so that was definitely a very interesting thing. I will say it was very shocking that this tribe does end up going to tribal. I definitely did not see that one coming. It was a very close challenge.
I remember you specifically.
Yeah. To be fair, they're at 4 right now. Yeah, no problem. Right now they are at 4. One of those is because of a medevac. They've only lost one challenge, and it was extremely close. And I think they had the wrong call having Jonathan be the puzzle guy, because it was a right call. Because I think he killed the first part of version because he actually lowered his voice, which does help in that thing. It makes a very distinct. Oh, this person is the one I need to listen to.
Yeah.
So that helps, but then we really got to see his puzzle knowledge get put to the test a little bit, and it was not up to snuff.
It was kind of funny because when that did happen, he went to like heavy metal, like, like Slipknot, yo, go this way. That was kind of fun. Like the blindfold thing is always tricky because like, people are blindfolded and it's hard to like fault them for like bumping into shit or like stuff. Like there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that regard.
We saw Rockshroy hurt his balls.
Yep. And I think I have a quote from Daniel. It was like, you gotta protect your balls, Roxroy.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, the name Roxroy, apart from the individual man of who he is, Roxroy's a badass name. And so like, it's like, it's a unique name too. So it's like, you gotta watch your balls, Roxroy. It's like, this is like, it's just like a very memorable thing.
Yeah. It's like a Come On Smalls from the Sandlot. It's got a similar interesting kind of good tagline to the end of sentence.
Yeah. That challenge, it's always like tricky. Green team was able to like push it out, and
from behind.
And then like blue, it was like close. It was like very, very close. But like seeing the blue team, I got a little safe because of our fantasy thing.
Yeah,
it's like, yay.
I don't think it was going to be Romeo. I think he was at least safe this time, so it would have definitely been another one of yours.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, one of the things, and I fault the editors for this in the sense of like, because of like what happened in the trailers, and it wasn't just like action shots, it was like legit people saying like the phrases. If I see like, like if I didn't see the part where Tori finds the idol, then I know she's probably safe that episode unless she finds it after the challenge.
Exactly.
So
you knew Marianne can't go home this episode because we never saw a certain scene.
Yeah.
Which will happen next week. So
yeah, which they put in the thing, which I was a little bit like, could they have just like put that in the trailer? Movies do it all the time. Where there's, like scenes that don't make it into the actual thing. But it was a little like, I will admit that took some of the suspense out of Maria's elimination.
Yeah, Mariah,
sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, I know. It's honestly, there's a part of me that's a little glad she's gone because I had the same problem with her name of just being like, it's Mariah.
I don't know why I should Ryan. It should roll off the tongue. For me, I think it was more of seeing their names written.
Yeah.
Because like one of my things like, oh, it's either Marianne or Mariah.
Yeah. And they did
like the two Marys.
Yeah, they did the editing cut where you see the Mary and then they stop. Yeah. Omer did it.
Omer, yeah. It's one of those. It's one of the things. I think they specifically were like, it would be cool if we get someone named Mariah, but they spell it in just the way just for the shot.
Yeah, you could tell when they cast these two, they had to put them on the same tribe because they wanted that cut so bad. I feel like that was something they wanted.
Yeah. And I guess there was some payoff there. Speaking of Mariah, learning her backstory and stuff, and it being very like relevant with like what everyone went through and what we're still kind of going through now. It's easing up, but we're not getting into it. But like, to know that like she was related to the first, nurse, to fall victim to it, as a result, like, stuff like that. And then like the deeper meanings that some people have coming out on Survivor. Like, we both wanted her to do very well in this. We both had her high on our list too, which was
the highest draft pick now to go out pre-merge by a lot.
Which funny enough, I forgot that I didn't get her. So when I was watching it, I was like, I lost 3 in a row. And then when I re-looked at my list, I was like, oh wait, yeah, she got drafted by Joe. Okay.
Yeah, you were gonna pick her next. I was actually really excited because I was like, awesome. I think she's like, I thought she was gonna be the sleeper, like potential winner of the season. Like I really thought she had that, but like as a character on the show, I actually didn't think she was bringing anything that was super interesting compared to like a Marianne. Like Marianne is that kind of, I think, iconic character. Like I think she could be like known as like the face of the season if she makes it far enough. Whereas I don't think Mariah was would have been in that role. So I ultimately I'm happy that I like Marianne. I know people are like giving her shit and flack and everything. I don't get it.
I think it's like maybe because we're also weirdos too, in our own regard.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, like, as soon as I was like reading her bio and stuff like that, I was like, she is someone I could see myself being friends with in, real life. I don't know, like it's fun to like see someone like that on like Survivor and everything. And I think she brings some like levity and sometimes some like really fun moments, like the Zach moment. That was hilarious.
That was great.
She also had another great quote. She's also very quotable.
Yeah.
Where it was like when she was talking to Jeff at Tribal, and she mentioned her 100% rejection rate, and then Jeff was like, in the most, I would say, casual way I've ever heard anyone deliver this. But it's like, giving her love advice, it was like, oh, they're just not the one and stuff like that. That's like the most casual I've ever seen anyone deliver that kind of like advice before. Which I thought was funny. She leads to great TV, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's going to give us a lot of great moments throughout this season. So, and I think some people just are like, I only want to see the people who are out there playing hard, or they're similar to me, maybe. But that's not what Survivor's about. You need people like Marianne who are going to be there for your comedic relief. They're going to be extremely entertaining as long as they're there. You need these people. You can't get angry at them. Like, that's the point. That's why she got casted.
Like, if you, I mean, there are other contestants, like, it's okay if she's not your favorite or anything like that, or like, like there are plenty of other contestants that you can like root for, or like if you want to root against Marianne, by all means, but like that's just who she is. Like for me personally, I'm someone that roots for like the sleeper threats or the challenge beasts, someone like that. Marianne, as far as we know, who knows, she could like be a challenge beast low key, and like it was Agatha all of Long Us.
That would be great.
But like she is very different from like a lot of different Survivor contestants, but she's always like so much fun to watch, and she has the best like one-liners, hands down. So yeah, she's fun. She's a fun personality, and now that she's gonna get an idol in the next episode, it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic kind of switches with that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I personally do like, I know I said this last week, but I'm pretty sure that these four will make merge. All four of them now, in my opinion, have actually been given like enough room to like be shown as like they can make it further in the game. Mariah, I will say, after first episode, I did not see that from her. I was like, okay, but they might be doing an Erica thing where they're not giving her a lot of screen time early on, and then they'll let her do something later. So I was like, I'll kind of throw her in there too. But I do think that Marianne, Jonathan, Omar, and Lindsay have all been given quite a bit of content to show that they're not like, it would be crazy to see one of them now go home again in pre-merge.
It could happen, and that's gonna suck. But I feel like Omar is definitely in the best position because one, as we can see, like very good ties with Marianne, and then the bromance between him and Jonathan, which is just like the brawn and the brain, the beauty and the geek. And then I saw this like Facebook post of like him just carrying a big log over his shoulder, and I'm like, this man is legit a demigod. Like, what the hell? And it's so, and kind of like the little line above that, above the picture, was like, he is someone where, at first impression, I was like, oh, he might be like a bit problematic, stuff like that. But nah, he's like one of the one of the best people like on this season.
Yeah, I think he's playing great. Like just like I might even say I think he's in a better spot than Omer, because I think he's close to Omer and I think he's closer to Lindsay. So if it got down to those three, I think Omer will get a vote over Jonathan just in terms of that. I think it will still be Omer and Jonathan as a final two of this tribe. I yet again do not see Jonathan losing that many challenges, but in general,
that's a fair point.
I just think that he's in a great position where he can literally, like he can't go home pre-merge at this point. So there's no world I see him going home pre-merge.
I'd say the only thing, and this would be crazy, is an idol play or a shot in the dark actually working. One thing I'll say about this season, and this will help segue into other stuff. It's how the shot in the dark has been playing like a different role, where the person going home has been playing their shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it's between you and another person, and especially in a small tribe where the tribe is going to go where it's going to go, it's actually advantageous for you to actually use the shot in the dark. If it's like, like between Mariah and Marianne, where Mariah had everything, and I wouldn't even blame Marianne for doing it as well, because it's like, the tribe is going to choose who they're going to choose, especially with the three. Though granted, Marianne has an extra vote.
Yeah,
see how that can play into the future. And one of the things that could take down Lindsay or Jonathan, because Omer, he could see, oh wait, she has an extra vote. Oh wait, now she has an idol. This is a strong ally to have. And granted, I don't think Lindsay has shared any information about her amulet.
So
I doubt that's one of the. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that pushes Omer just slightly above Jonathan. I think both of them are very solid, and I could see like a new school JT and Fishback situation.
That's been this is like JT and Steven on steroids.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just wanted to also say in previous season I figured that Jonathan and Lindsay would be a duo and Omer and Marianne would be a duo. Honestly, it almost kind of worked out like very similar, not necessarily like calling them duos, like because obviously Omer and Jonathan are the duo, but like still Jonathan and Lindsay, like Lindsay's closest ally I think out there is Jonathan. I think Marianne's closest ally out there is Omer. So so a certain side does see that way, but Jonathan and Omer are clearly being seen as the real strong duo out there.
Oh yeah. They're each other's shields, though. I would say that's the one thing that's gonna hurt them come merge, but they'll work it out then.
The meat shield and the brain shield.
Exacta. So speaking of things working out and not, and how things are kind of different this season, we got to talk about the Green Tribe and Mike finding the idol.
I was excited about this.
Yeah, and it was interesting in the fact of like talking about the soccer one, and I feel like that's probably one of the more easier statements to make.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that I think it is a very easy statement, but I think I know people like Mike and they absolutely hate soccer. So the fact that he has to now like make a quote for like everyone to hear about him liking like that he acknowledges soccer. I just think that's going to be hilarious because that's something that's, is just not something that he enjoys. So even though I think for us, we would easily be able to make that work, I think for Mike, it might be a little more of a challenge.
Honestly, this could just be my actor side playing out, but like, I don't know if Mike would have the same instinct, but he could be totally sarcastic about it. With his delivery. That is one way around it, so he stays true to himself and get the word out. It is we gotta say that it was funny that he lost his own idol.
Yeah, and this looks like it's foreshadowing next episode. Yeah, so it looks like this is, and honestly, this is a fear of mine if I ever went out there, is finding an idol or an advantage and hiding it somewhere, because you don't want to bring that at camp. So you hide it, and then you go there and you're like, where is it? Where did I put it?
Yeah. To those of you who don't know, if you hide it and someone else finds it, production will be like, no, it's someone else's. Yeah. That was actually a huge issue in Survivor One World.
Yeah.
And one of the things they didn't put in it, and that kind of led to Bill's elimination. He found Colton's idol, and there was like this huge like commotion, and that led to that.
He was told he can't take it and use it, so then he just tried to throw it into the ocean, and they were like, you're not allowed to do that.
No, fam, no. But yeah, and it's also that he did bring in Daniel to kind of be like the guy to be like tell this to as well.
Yeah. This was a great episode Jenny, for Daniel.
Now Daniel,
yeah,
I do want to kind of give him the MVP, which is funny, seeing how last week I was about to give him the LVP.
Yeah, I'm glad I caught you there, because I really don't think Daniel deserved any flack for last week. This episode definitely showcased Daniel in a great way. I think if he can, I think he's in a great spot. I don't think he can go out on this tribe now. Like, I was afraid of him being that pre-merged group.
Oh yeah, especially now.
But now he's got Chanel and Mike, and because of Mike, he's got Jenny now. Like, they're not going to vote for him. So now you're actually kind of looking at potentially Hai, Lydia being the ones in trouble on this tribe.
Which not a big fan, but I would say that Daniel is in a great position because he was right about his strategy with the Beware idol, where it's like, all right, well, if we don't have them activated, we can't, and this is one of the things, that difference in 41 and 42, where they're like, what if, since we know about it, what if we make sure that they don't activate it? There is that possibility now, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And see how that might play out.
Yeah, let Mike not say it at Tribal, or the immunity challenge. Just kind of let it keep going. Especially if you are in the numbers in your tribe, why activate it? Let him just not have a vote. Let two other people on other tribes not have a vote. Let them deal with it, while you, as someone who doesn't have an idol, doesn't have to worry about the idols now because they're not activated.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if they changed it from 41 to 42, but the whole thing of just choosing not to say the phrase at the challenge was a thing, or maybe it was something they amended.
Yeah. I do have a theory that I think the idols are going to get activated next episode, because they are looking for the idol. We need the idol right now. And so I think they may have activated it next episode, said it, and then they're looking for the idol, can't find it. Or they're just
that is a good possibility.
There's that, or they're trying to get it so that way they can kind of go over the phrase again, because they're trying to, you can forget the phrase after a day or so, and then they can't find it, and then no one can activate the idols because this tribe doesn't know what the phrase is.
Also, because as I was writing it down too, I almost miswrote the wording of everything, and I'm sure that, I don't know, would Jeff be that persnickety? I wouldn't even say it's persnickety. Is it something you have to recite verbatim?
I don't think so. I think last season they definitely mixed the words up a little bit, but as long as certain things are being said, like broccoli and trees, as long as it somewhat makes sense, I think they'll let it.
It's mostly there. I remember watching the news earlier this year, and there was this priest who he was saying the phrase wrong for baptisms the entire time, making every baptism the man did for the past like 20 years null and void.
Wow.
And I'm just like, whoa.
That sucks.
That's kind of a huge huge thing. 20 years of your life, something like that.
Yeah.
Whoa. But another fun thing was like Daniel was geeking out where he was like, ooh, that's a good twist. And he was kind of like doing this. And then I was like, focus. Leg cramp, leg cramp.
Oh, there it is. Big leg cramp. For first ever here on the Day After podcast, Ryan has a leg cramp. We are going to talk this through. Do we need to call medical in here, Ryan?
No, I think I'm good. I'll just pop it back to place.
Okay. It seems that Ryan doesn't have to get medevacs from this episode of the Day After podcast. He can stay.
I sit weird sometimes, and sometimes that happens. I went to Trader Joe's. I got some bananas, so I will be having a snack afterwards to help with these Charlie horse issues.
Yeah. I used to have a banana before every tennis practice. It's great.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, it was fun to see him kind of like geek out during that little moment, because I feel like that's a very Survivor fan-y thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. He really loved the Beware twist. He was just so into it. He was just like, oh, Jeff, this is a good one. Like he was really given I love this twist, which definitely.
And it just turned out to be and then the twist idea was some unnamed intern that was Jeff gets all the love. Not saying that happened, but it'd be funny. I would imagine being like an intern for that and pitch that idea, and then was like, okay, I see. I see Jeff gets it.
Intern Timmy over there is gonna just give out gold ideas like the Beware advantage, get no credits. Poor life for intern Timmy. Oh, Ryan's is he back? There he goes. Oh, you're still kind of glitching out here. Oh, Ryan. Okay, looks like Ryan is currently not here, so I guess I'll just keep talking here about the Green Tribe. Ryan is back.
Yeah. Man, technical difficulties, Charlie horses. You
never know what you're going to get here on the Day After podcast. It could be anything.
Exactly. But all right, so we were on the Green Tribe. Fun fact: it's St. Patrick's Day when we're recording this, so wearing this.
I have green. It's a Rick and Morty sweatpants I'm wearing right now. So Hell
yeah. But I feel like that one. Speaking of which, I think one thing that a person going out there has to consider is, if you're a vegan or not. And Hai was, and he kind of broke it on, live TV and stuff. Well, not live TV, on like, national TV, international. I if they like play in other countries. But it's like one of those things where going out there, it's like, would I do this if I was really starving and stuff like that? And the moral dilemma and stuff was like, I would say that was like tough to watch for him, because I'm like, is he going to be like Kimmy and like, just not do it? Or is he just, gonna put that aside?
Exactly. And especially with this season, there's no rice or beans that they were given at the start, which a lot of people who are vegan and stuff are vegetarian. That's like that can get you through at least the early stages where you don't have to, be worm for that. But they don't have to, like, they have to find like their own food. And there's only so much coconuts out there, especially they've been filming it in the same location for so many times. There's less resources than millennials versus Gen X, for instance. So
I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I feel like it would behoove them to go to like a different beach per season, kind of to like mix that up.
I think the reason that's tough is that there's 3 tribes, so that's 3 different beaches, and I think there's like 4 islands, so they're basically utilizing all 4 islands right now because there's the 3 tribe camps and then there's Shipwheel
the challenge
Island. Yeah.
I guess that would be definitely tough.
Especially if you're the second one out there, like the second season to be filming. Like, you already know that the other people used a lot of that natural resources, and you can only do so much on production end to try to get stuff out there.
Oh yeah. And it's hard to just like make fruit grow on a tree except for just naturally. That's like a time thing. The only other like way I can see that working out is I don't know the actual farming term, but in the stuff like, all right, is it rotating crops? Basically, or just like cycle through where you're like, all right, this much for like, this season, this much for the next, and then by the time like next year goes around, boom, there's a fresh crop for 43 and 44.
I'm sure that they try some to that to a degree, but it's it's definitely a lot different than when you go to a totally uninhabited place that's never been touched by like a lot of people.
Fair.
But in the situation, I think it makes a lot of sense that you have to have that kind of debate with yourself. Is it worth it to eat? Because you saw Mike was even just like, come on, are you going to eat? It's like it does make you a bit more of an outsider to not eat in that situation, and that's what Survivor's all about. Like, it's about knowing what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not to get further in the game.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially with something like malnutrition, stuff like that, it's like it's a tricky thing. I'm personally not like vegan or vegetarian and stuff. I have plenty of friends that were, and so like I get where they're coming from that standpoint. And like Hai wasn't like he was aware going in like, oh, this might be a thing, and especially when there was no rice beans. It's a tough thing, and like I don't feel like like bad or like, oh, shame on him. Granted, I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, but I feel like a lot of people are like, he's freaking starving out there. Might as well.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if you're a vegan going out to play Survivor, I think you're fine. Like go ahead, do it. Especially if it's in a season like this with no rice or beans. I think Hai has even more right to
you had to no alternative.
Yeah,
it's kind of like just pure survival because
Yeah. Would you rather just starve and not be able to eat on a game where you have to be mentally there, physically there, socially there, or would you rather eat some meat just to try to at least sustain yourself to be able to do everything else? I mean, it's a moral dilemma, but I like, as someone who obviously is not vegan or and as someone who thinks that you should be doing everything you can to help benefit you in the game, I think you should definitely do it.
Yeah, but still all the respect for Hai, though, especially after talking about this, I'm like, oh shit, Lydia and Hai, even though we think he's a great player and everything, he might not be on the right side, especially since neither two have an advantage other than the amulet, but that doesn't really play into account right now.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know how this tribe would, who they would choose over Hai or Lydia if those end up being the targets. It's it's going to be interesting because at least by the edit, I mean, I feel like they gave a lot of good personal content for Hai with all that vegan stuff.
Yeah.
Which means I could see it go either way. I think he could go soon, or he could be a very good long game, end game kind of player.
We'll see.
But yeah, I'm not sure. But Lydia, man, I don't want her to go, like, because she's done so well in her Brand Steals. Like, I feel like she has to make at least the merge, like at least get to the merge.
I feel it's possible. It also really depends on on Mike as well, and like whether or not he ever gets his vote back, or if Daniel is like, all right, maybe Mike's not the right choice to go with or something. It's tough to say, really. Right now, especially since 2 episodes in, and that tribe is the only tribe that hasn't gone to tribal council yet.
Exactly.
So we don't know where the ships are going to lie.
Yeah, and I still think that there's some good physical people on this tribe. Like, I think that there's a good chance that they are the tribe that just ends up getting a first or second on these immunity challenges and not having to go to tribal. I think there's that world too. So there's a chance that they never really have to test themselves this way, and they can actually go in as 3 duos into the merge.
There is that possibility. You never know. We or more so you. I think for me it was more so like just trying to be optimistic. But like, the group consensus was that the Taku tribe was probably going to coast on by, but the gods have bled, or the demigod known as Jonathan and the rest of the Taku tribe bled, and so now it's like, wow, no.
Yeah. Well, they lost one challenge. Like, let's be real. They're down 2 people. They lost one challenge. Like, I'm not like when like a Yase or Ua, when they were on the losing streak, they looked pretty bad in some of these challenges. Like, they looked like they were just absolutely out of their elements in immunity challenges. I don't get that with Taku. Like, even though that they lost, that was one of the closest challenges we've had in Survivor in a while. Like, it was literally seconds of a difference. And it was really just because of Jonathan had to be the puzzle guy as well as the caller. Like,
yeah. And I think that the thing is, I'm not like, oh, they're definitely going back or anything like that. But because they lost, it definitely opens the things up of like, oh, like Green Tribe could go, or Ika. Please not Ika.
There's no way that they're not going to go on immunity. They are definitely losing again.
I know the possibility of them going again is very probable. In fact, it's almost guaranteed, seeing how there are 3 more eliminations before the merge.
Yeah.
So that's like they would have to win or come in second place 3 times in a row in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
And it could be like anyone. Hell, each tribe could lose the member.
Yeah. Like, I'm already calling. I think Rocksroy is going to go home pre-merge. I just see him go. Like, I could see him being one of the next ones on Blue Tribe to go. Like, honestly, like,
I mean, here's the thing, and I'm not like trying to defend him because he's on my side. The thing with Rocksroy, he's not really a strategic threat, and it does seem like it's a Tori Drea kind of like power struggle, or like it's kind of like things like they can work together, but at the same time they understand that it could benefit their game by getting rid of the other one.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that Rocksroy could make it to the merge because he's not necessarily the bigger threat. However, if it's like quality at camp life kind of deal or something like that, I can see him going. But I'd say, I think, and it could be just the editing. It's focused on like the Tori and Drea kind of like back and forth right now. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I think he's the next one to go on that tribe. Like, I'm saying that I think he will be gone by the time we hit the merge. and that's also counting the fake merge if they do that again. The
Purge.
Yeah. That's counted as part of the pre-merge section in my mind too. So like through that point, I think he will be going home at one of those, like somewhere in between this time.
Definitely. I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Who knows? That kind of reminded me, because I called it the Furge. Someone name dropped something and I thought it was good. Let me check the Tri-Way Idol is, the one that's activated by everything. The Tri-Way Idol.
Yeah.
That was another little name that got thrown around that I kind of like.
Nice. But yeah, we have another tribal council here, by the way, with a unanimous vote, back to back, first time unanimous vote followed by another unanimous vote. With the shot in the dark, it's really changing up, in a
sense where it's like, if a thing is like, kind of like what I said, if you're one of the two, and it's like this early on, I don't think it's as great to do during like the merge, but like, because they're smaller tribes and like 3 votes is all really what it takes to like sway something. And if you're not one of the targets, like your vote, I'm not going to say doesn't matter, but like, if 3 votes could potentially go your way and your vote is not going to, help or hinder in that regard, because it's like the rest of the tribe, you might as well play it, especially if it's like something where it can't tie up.
Yeah, if you know that all the votes are going on to someone, and you're one of the people who are likely to get taken out there, yeah, definitely, like, yeah, it's, and this is what I'm going, I think I said this last week too, I think because they didn't make it this big thing at the start of the season, like, oh, this is going to be something that's going to really change up how Survivor is, but they kind of just gave them like, okay, this is what the shot in the dark does. I think it's almost made them not afraid of the shot in the dark. So now, instead of really trying to make people comfortable, they're totally fine letting someone know that they're one of the 2 people on the outs.
Yeah. They'll be interesting to see if it actually ever works.
We're waiting for that one time it works. That's what we want it so bad.
It's going to be one of our faves. It's going to happen, or the opposite, where it's going to be someone we're like not technically rooting for. They play it, they're safe, and then one of our faves go. It's going to be one of the two. Either way, it's going to be an iconic moment.
Yeah, Rocksroy uses it and takes out Tori.
Obviously the thought has crossed my mind, how I'm going to react to that.
I'm definitely curious for when we get to the point where Tori gets voted out. I really don't see her being able to get to the end and winning this game.
I feel it's possible. It's, there was only one elimination so far.
Yeah, I think the tribe does have some trust with her now. I mean, I think, it seemed like she really wanted to have this nerdy alliance, and then the second it seemed like, oh, we're going to tribal, she throws her nerdy alliance under the bus, like, immediately. Like, I don't know if they'll be thinking it at this current day of the game, but that is definitely going to be crossing their mind in the game.
Well, I think another reason why throwing Zach under the bus was kind of like the smart move back then was that, obviously Drea and, Rocksroy, they're tight. They, and so like the only like real like target other than herself and Zach was pretty much like Romeo, because he sat up at Jones, but also that didn't seem like fair. But like looking at like how everything went, Zach was like the easiest / safest person to throw under the bus. Because even regardless of because even though like, Rocksroy was like, being the strict father around camp and stuff, it like if they already are tight with someone else, it makes it harder to like break that, because it's kind of like, oh, you're coming after my ally, I might come after you now.
Yeah, I think it's the right move. That's not really what I'm worried about. I think it's how it came across. Because if what we're being, at least what Zach said is true, and she got there and immediately went off and like threw his name under the bus to Drea like immediately, I think is red flags for the people who weren't in that initial conversation. Like, oh, now Drea just comes back and now they're wanting to save Tori, but they want to take out Zach, who was supposed to be her close ally. Like, I think I think it's how fast that Tori made that decision to take out Zach. Whereas I think a better player would have talked to some people first, like an overall census to see what everyone was really thinking, and then try to act on that kind of move if it seemed like nothing else was working. But because she was just so quick to just say, Zach, let's just take out Zach, let's get rid of him. I think I think it's just the way that it ended up taking place, which was not as ideal for throwing someone under the bus.
Yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing about like the edit and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like the tribe members and everything, it could be totally obvious what's going on. Yeah. But they have to throw out, I'd say usually Survivor throws out like 3 names. Mm-hmm. There's like one where it's like, ooh, maybe this person. And then it's 2 where it's like, it's definitely one or the other.
Yeah.
And so like, who knows how much that actually is, and like it could have just been like a passing thing for like, oh, Roxroy, but then like for like Zach, like they got all the shots for that, and then all the shots for Tori of like them talking about eliminating, and composite it all into like the part right before tribal council and after the challenge.
I think we have more of a villain edit with Tori. Her edit definitely has a lot of reminding me of Shan, in terms of trying to set up her as a villain of the season. I don't know if I don't know if she's the pre-merge villain or if she'll be making a deeper run. I'm guessing pre-merge villain. I really see her having some trouble here, but I know that's not what you want to hear. But
I'm not going to deny, but I will defend.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. I'm not going to deny the fact that she's not in that she's in a bad position and she has an uphill battle. Yeah. However, I will defend. I'm saying there's a chance.
What's your defense for her?
That it's still early in the game. Swati is also aware that, Drea could be a threat, and all they need to do is get one person who's upset that their Skinny Boy alliance didn't pan out, and then flip things around.
Yeah. I don't know.
And also she's getting the idol, whether or not that's actually going to work or not. Totally up in the air, but like I'm not grasping at straws. These are just like things that could play into it.
Yeah, she should definitely not tell anyone about the idol. I think if she ever tells anyone about the idol, I think she goes home. I think that they'll just be like, let's just get rid of her. If it's not activated right now, let's just get rid of her. Because she won't have a vote, so she can't even try to talk someone into voting with her. So there is some worry, honestly, about her getting this out. And if Mike does lose his idol, and that's what gets Tori out, because he can't activate it.
This is what stressed me out, relying on other people for shit.
Yeah. It's like last season when Nasir finds the idol pretty late into the season. It's like episode 5 or something when it finally gets activated.
Perfect timing though, because it's like, for him it didn't really matter because it was just like he never went to tribal pre-merge. But I could imagine, just being like, oh yeah, butterflies are dead relatives, broccolis are trees. Nothing else. For like, and then be like, no, it's not. And Mike does have that power, whether or not to actually say it or not. So I don't think it benefits him personally to just not have a vote if he has to go to tribal. for like more than once. One time it's crappy, but you can get through it. Twice, that can be a death sentence.
Yeah. I feel like there's a good chance that even if two people say the phrase, Mike might not say it because of his conversation with Daniel about not saying it. I feel like he might want to prep himself to go ahead and say it, and if he doesn't have that prep ahead of time, that first time he might actually miss it because he might not know the phrase and doesn't want to just outright start talking about it.
I was thinking if Daniel would be sneaky enough to hide his Mike's idol, but I was like, Mike's having trouble keeping track of it as is. So like,
I don't think I think Daniel likes the fact that he knows that Mike has the idol because he now knows more about the game. There's more benefit to keeping Mike now for Daniel because he knows where the idol is. Like if you vote out Mike now and the idol gets re-hidden, like you don't know where it is now. Hopefully you can find it, but someone else might find it. So there's definitely a lot of like I think they need to keep him. I think that is now Daniel, Chanel, Mike, and Jenny should just kind of be the four the foursome here.
That is a possibility. I don't know. I think also if you're losing your idols and stuff, it's there is that thing, and it was more so for like Marianne, and it's like I don't want to say responsibility, but more because that wasn't it. It was just like Marianne was a bit of a wild card, and it was like, can we really, is that the route to go? Especially if all four of us make the merge. It could be someone. It could be a thing of like, if Mike keeps losing the idol, I'm like, should we? He's losing important thingies.
I'm wondering if Mike potentially could be like a 0 vote finalist at the end as a GOAT, because something like this could be something where it's like at the end he's just like, I have this idol, maybe he even has a good idol play or something, but if Daniel is there at the jury and he's maybe upset, maybe Mike turned on him or something, he would totally be like, hey, Mike couldn't find his idol. I had to keep looking with him to find his idol. Like he kept losing over and over again.
That could be
like that's just not a good look. It's a hilarious moment. Like I think it was one of the best scenes of the episode. Like I love that happened, but it's not a good look for an end game.
No, I mean, I guess like since I'm not a jury member, or at the very least yet, it's hard to really say like how much that would weigh on me personally. I mean, like, it would be interesting. I feel like everyone on the jury would definitely have a good laugh at that.
Especially if Daniel was the one to come out with it. I feel like it would come across both funny, but yet also shedding a light on what Mike was like that people might not have seen.
I don't know. It's interesting because like with that team, we still need to see them go to tribal before we see like everything. Like they said, tribal is where you see where the chips lie, and that's when you get to really know where you stand. For the most part.
Exactly. I think the Vati tribe and the Aika tribe will be the most interesting tribes to go to tribal. Like I think the Taku tribe, I think it would just be very clear votes that it has to be Marianne, so she have to play her shot in the dark. Maybe she survives, and she doesn't, or the idols get activated. So like maybe that will make it a little more interesting. But I see the Aika tribe has a lot of different ways it can go. I think the Vati tribe has a lot of different ways it can go. So I think if I got to choose episode 3, what tribe to go, it's one of those two.
I can see it. Personally, just so the sense of like spread the love of tribal, just throwing it out there. Body. Not that I want to. It's tough because especially since I look at everything now, there interviews for Entertainment Weekly, their bios and everything. I feel so attached.
Yeah, it's a way different experience when we started doing this podcast, and actually having to like look at I rarely looked at like promos and stuff for upcoming seasons. So now we know like, hey, this person can't go home this episode because we saw a promo where they did this. Like I never had that before. I never paid that much attention.
Well, I would say like apart from like, you know, like they never really showed like advantages or something like that. They would show like them in an action shot during a challenge.
Yeah.
Where I feel like another thing, because like when I like first got into Survivor and everything, this is back in my day, to any of you kiddies that are younger viewers that don't know what TV Guide is, but TV Guide had a channel. So if you didn't have like something where you could go on the menu and see what's playing on each channel, and let's say you had an older TV, you would go to the TV Guide channel, and then a little scroll bar would go up and tell you where, you know, what's on each channel for like, you know, the next 2 hours. And oftentimes they would show like the Survivor preview. So like a 1 hour, and they would spend like, you know, time to get to know the cast. But like when you only have like really 40 minutes, it's like not even at max 2 minutes per 2 minutes per contestant. Like I would say like a minute and a half at most. So like that was all the information I had going into like when I did start looking at the tribes and everything.
Yeah. Is there anything else on this season or this episode that we haven't touched on?
Okay. Oh yeah, the subsections little speech. Another reason why Marianne, great with the one-liners, her saying how the shot in the dark was like, all right, now plan A has a subsection, and this subsection. And it's like, wow, that is like my brain for everything. And Marianne was able to explain it with the shot in the dark with Survivor. That was another good moment that was out there.
I don't know if we talked about this before, but the game within the game is not in the season. They have scrapped that. Interesting, because they never really saw it unfold yet when they went to film this. And you know, in the first in 41, they did have like Jeff say it to the camera, like it was, you know, like clearly we're doing this, we're gonna do it, but we didn't get it this time. You know, you didn't say anything to us. We haven't seen it, so clearly it's gone. What are your thoughts? Are you going to miss the game within a game? Is it going to affect this season for you?
It's heartbreaking because it was one of the things that took me out of the action that was happening, and would stop me and you know, like I love the moment where I'm like, get back to the action, when they would cut away to that. It's something where I think it was worth experimenting with for like viewers at home, but at the same time, it, even when you did the challenges, whatnot, it didn't help or hinder. And plus, especially we live in the day and age of like the internet. So like if you wanted to do something like that, you know, the Survivor website and stuff like that, it's part of the reason why you don't see, you know, like, oh, code little code thingies on there, because like in cereal boxes or like during like a television broadcast, because usually they're just going to leak online, or not even leak, it's already out there, so it's just going to be online later.
I think what Survivor should do, I don't know if you ever saw the show Gravity Falls.
I've heard of it. I've seen like a couple things from it. There are a few memes from the show.
Well, they did something which I think Survivor would be great if they did this, but they basically released a book with a bunch of puzzles and stuff, and it was kind of directed for, you know, younger kids and stuff, to kind of like do that. But what I think Survivor would be smart to have like something like this where the Rebus puzzles can be a section of the book, and there's a lot of puzzles that can help you, some things that you actually see on Survivor in this little book that you can do as a puzzle. I think that would essentially get what you'd want out of this, because this was to get younger people watching the show. I know that you can now be 16 and apply for the show. That is something that you can do now.
It's crazy. Back in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in my day, you got to be 21. And then back when it was more my day, it was 18. And back when it's your guys' day, you're going to be like, what? Now they'll let 12-year-olds be on here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's 16, 17, 8, maybe even 18-year-olds probably shouldn't be on Survivor. just
I can see an 18-year-old be on there.
It's okay. We've had them
in the past.
Yeah, but it's not like every 18-year-old should be out there on Survivor. Like, it is very like they have to be already like a Michael Yerger. They're already very mature. They're already they're not a lot of nowadays kids are also they're not doing as much physical exercise. I'm just going to say it's a little more.
I'm out of touch. I was out of touch with my own generation when I was in high school, so I have no idea what kids are doing now. But I feel like it's one of the things where there is that possibility. There's also the thing where Jeff even said, where it was like sometimes he leans away. He might have one or two like college bound kids, or like obviously with or like recent college graduates, because he was like, sometimes it's nice to see the people like they have walked around in life a little bit and have more experience, and they've kind of landed on, at the very least in that point of time, where they want to go with their life. Not saying that, if you're a college student or a recent graduate, you're underdeveloped, but more so of like someone who's, like our age, who've been out of college for like a couple years, have, walked life a little bit, and we're more, I would say, defined in like the direction we're kind of going with life at this point in time, as opposed to someone who just graduated. Because I know, like, this is also like an actor thing. Some people who recently graduate don't always stick with what they majored in, and that's honestly not even just an acting thing. I've seen plenty of people kind of like switch ideas.
Yeah, it's hard when you're that young and you're trying to relate to older people who, they don't care about that stuff anymore. Like, they don't care necessarily what you got your degree in and everything. Like, they're more focused on what you're actually doing with your life, what's your life is actually shaped into. And it's hard sometimes for the 22 and below to kind of relate themselves as easily to that kind of person. I think we're probably like a year or two from being in the better chance of us be doing well on Survivor, because then we'll
I think honestly, I think sometime in August I will apply, because I feel like they've already finished their second season. They're a little bit getting before the because when a new season of Survivor comes out, that's when they get a rush of applicants, because people are inspired. So if I get in ahead of that, that might give me a better chance.
That's true.
I've just always either stalled on it or was like, it has to be perfect. But
yeah, exactly. I definitely want to apply within a year or two, because I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, I think I have a better chance of making it further if I don't do it like right out of college or any of that kind of stuff, because that would I feel like I would have been a very early boot.
I feel like, and Ryan back then, so I did actually send in a tape in high school, and thankfully you viewers at home have never seen my old self.
We're gonna have to show this tape sometime.
No, I think I deleted it. I tried to scrape all of past Ryan. Well, obviously they're obviously Facebook and stuff. You can see old pictures of me. If you go on my Instagram and you scroll down, you'll see like a me and then a 10 years ago me. But like back then I was kind of like very shy, reserved, and then I also had longer hair, more meat on my bones. And so like it was very different. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like Russell Hantz except better. And no. And I did 2 different ones in college. One was all right, and the other one I liked a little bit better because it showcased me. I did little interviews of friends around school. Yeah. This time around, I'm gonna take a book from, because Michaela kind of put it best, because I asked her, I was like, oh, what was your audition tape like when she messaged on this Facebook thing I was in. She was like, you can just talk to the camera and just like be yourself. It doesn't have to be too fancy, though my inner artist likes to be flashy a lot. So
yeah, I know I want to center my tape around a lot of me being an esports coach, because that's been my part-time job, and I'm teaching it for kids, so Survivor loves that. Yeah, and the whole point of my job is to not just teach them kids how to play the game, but how to use in-game principles and apply them to real life, which is what Survivor loves.
I feel like I'm still going to be a big advocate of like, hey, I'm an actor. Mm-hmm. I don't want these people just to associate me with whatever flavor of the month job I have during that time. Mm-hmm. But like, I do see some benefit of going out there. I'm like, yeah, I'm the DoorDash guy, because that kind of like it establishes, oh, like right now I do it on a bike. I love cardio, stuff like that. I like fast-paced things. Like it can like showcase that side of my personality, as well as my little sister is an inspiration for me, like being an actor and stuff, because she like looks up to me. Like there are definitely some things there I can play off of. But I actually did meet someone at Starbucks when I was working there who worked on like the casting for stuff like that, and they did bring up family, and you see that all the time, where people will bring up their family, whether it's their kids, a sibling, a parent, a grandparent. I don't think we've had a great grandparent be such an influence on someone's reason for going out on Survivor yet, but you never know. But yeah, so little bit of wisdom from people who have looked into it before.
Exactly. And there's the Pikachu mug right there. But yeah, that pretty much I think covers everything that I can think of on this episode.
Yeah, that was pretty much everything. All right, guys, since we're about 2 more episodes in, comment down below who do you think your favorite is, or like if there's someone that you really, really love or want to see win. Let us know. It's always interesting to see like what people think about Cass, like, and everything.
Exactly. And definitely if you've been watching any of our content and you like it, please click the subscribe and click that bell too to get notifications. We're at 90 subscribers right now. We're closing in on 100.
That 10 subscriber stretch, that's it's like almost.
It's so close. Yeah. So if we can get that by the time we start up our Brant Steals again, that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, with that being said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Day After Podcast.
All right. Peace.